everyone. I'm Donna, the Bookkeeping Lady. I am here to help you simplify your bookkeeping and hopefully simplify your life. Before I get started, we are offering small business bookkeeping as low as $24.95 a week. If you're interested, please message me below or comment below. You can reach out to me on my website, which is in the comments, it's in the description. Would love to hear from you. I would love to know if I am providing good value in these videos too. So any questions, comments, concerns? Oh my gosh, this thing is cutting off the top of my head. There we go, that's better. So bookkeeping, tips for small businesses, and a lot of them really don't follow these. It's really interesting. I always get into new client meetings and they are so overwhelmed with what they are trying to do to keep their business rolling, to just take care of their customers, to take care of their employees, that they don't think about the stuff that kind of gets pushed to the back of the desk, which is usually anything administrative or anything bookkeeping related. And the irony behind that is that that's one of the most critical parts of your business. Michael Gerber in the E-Myth talks about most people, when they decide to start their own business, they fire their boss and they go and they work for a real idiot, which is themselves. I have done kind of the same thing, would like to go back to the boss. But at the same time, there's a lot of growth that happens when you own your own business. And yes, Michael, if you're watching this, yes, I still want to come back. But at the same time, there's a lot of wisdom and there's a lot of things that you learn about yourself when you are working for yourself. One of the things that I've learned, and I've been self-employed in some form for probably about 12 or 15 years, and I found out that my boss is a real bitch. And you know, she keeps me thinking about work all the time. But that's because my boss is me and nobody cares more about my business than I do. So with that in mind, one of the very first things that you can do to help is to go paperless. I'm going to show you something. This is 2 client stuff. And this, 99% of this could be scanned and attached to QuickBooks or just scanned and kept as a PDF file. There's really no need anymore to have paper in your office. Just think of the trees that gave up their lives for this. So that we can hold them for 7 years and shred it afterwards. Don't mind killing a tree for a really good book once in a while, but I am really, really going paperless. Most of that is going to be scanned. And the other really nice thing about it is you scan it, you save it, you can save it as a PDF, and then you back it up in 2 or 3 different places and you've always got it, no matter what happens. You know, and if the world comes to an end, you're not going to worry about this stuff anyway. Number 2, get a good advisor. Message me below. I am a very good advisor. I'm very, very good at this. I have been doing this for many years. I have hundreds of satisfied clients. If they will do what I tell them to do, their business will grow. They will be able to create the kind of value for themselves and their employees that they really want. Excuse me. Number 3 would be keep your personal and business finances separate. Now, some of you may have seen my video on commingling, and that's what that means. That means if you don't commingle, if you think about it, you know, it comes from the word mingling. So if you put it together and it's all in this little pot together, then it's commingled. You want to keep your business and your personal stuff completely separate. And the reason for that, not just to be kind to your accountant, we can figure that stuff out. It's also to make sure that you are, if you are ever audited, if you ever have a lawsuit in your business, if anything ever happens financially, and it does happen, a lot of people don't think it will, and then it does, then we have a clean paper trail. We have a clean electronic trail to be able to say, no, this is how this money got here. This is where I talk about, I tell my clients, if you have a deposit that's not from business activities, say you take out a business loan and you put that money in the bank, We need to know about that. For one thing, we need to track the loan, and for another thing, we need to make sure that that's not tagged as business income, which you could be taxed for. 4 and 5 are kind of the same thing. Plan for major expenses, including taxes. You will have to pay taxes. That's just part of doing business. You will have major expenses. That's just part of living. But a small amount of money set aside on a regular basis and left alone will grow. And it's amazing how quickly even $5 a week will add up. And you absolutely, if you, sales tax, oh my gosh, sales tax. If you are collecting sales tax, and I don't care what state you're in, if you are collecting sales tax for your state and you do not put that money aside, and I would say in a separate account, and I would also say every dang day, then you are spending money that does not belong to you. Just because you're collecting the money and it's sitting in your bank account does not mean it's yours. It belongs to the government, whether you like it or not. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you how to take care of it so that you don't get in trouble. If you collect sales tax, my suggestion, and my very, very strong suggestion, would be set up a separate account to hold your sales tax. And then every single time that you, at least every day, put the money that you collected on sales tax aside in this other account so that it's not commingled, there's that word again, with your business income. So it's not showing up as money that you think you can spend. It's just kind of human nature. That way it's there. And then when it's time to file that tax return, you have the money that's already that you've collected for sales tax and you can send it on to your state. I have watched people go under in their business over sales tax, and it just breaks my heart every time, because this one thing can save your business. I promise you, this one thing, if you will do this one thing, if you are affected by sales tax and you do this one thing, it will save your business. Number 7 is keep an eye on your invoices. I am going to go over this again and again and again. A lot of people don't. They send out invoices, they don't follow up on them, they just assume people are going to pay them. It doesn't work that way. Probably works that way 90% of the time. People get a bill and they pay it because they know they owe it. But when I started in accounting, I was actually a collections clerk. And that meant that I had to follow through. I had to make sure that, you guys, I'm so sorry, I'm dying. I don't know why it is I haven't been able to breathe properly. But I started out as a collections clerk, and one of my first jobs here in Utah was working with a small business. It was a little bit bigger. It had maybe 10 employees, and it was grossing probably 1.5 million. But they had $500,000 that they considered uncollectible because nobody was following up on it. And the sad thing is, I would start following up, and they thought this was going to be a 40-hour-a-week job. And I would start following up, and I had a system. This is where everything really comes together. I had a system. I knew, I'm going to send 2 letters, I'm going to make 3 phone calls, and then they're going to collections, and someone else can skip trace them. And I collected $490,000 that they had considered uncollectible because they didn't bother with that. They felt like that was so overwhelming. And then they ended up letting me go because I worked myself out of a job. I'm really good at that. This is just critical. The longer you allow a vendor to, not a vendor, a customer to go without paying you, the harder it becomes to collect the payment. It's easy when it's right off the bat. It's much harder when things are not right there. I would probably say you probably have 90 to 120 days to collect a debt. And after that, it starts to become very, very difficult. Keep daily records and reconcile your bank accounts. One of the softwares, and this is not a dig, by the way, but one of the softwares that I have looked at using over the years is called Xero, Xero, and I don't like them. The reason I don't like them is that they do not do monthly reconciliations. I tried to like them, really did, but I just cannot wrap my mind around what they're trying to do. The reason I like to do monthly reconciliations is when you have everything the bank has and everything that you have right in front of you, it's easy to find things like duplicate transactions. It's easy to find where things were off by a penny, so the bank, the computer can't tell that it's just off by a penny. It just says it's wrong. And so I see a lot of opportunity for mistakes to slip through the cracks. And if you work for Xero, fix it. If you're a Xero advisor, I'm telling you, your business books are a mess. And I've watched it, and then I have had clients come back from Xero, and their books were a disaster. Absolutely a disaster. It's really, really challenging to try to go back and fix it, because Xero wants to reconcile every single day, which would be great. But accounting doesn't work that way. They say that they were founded by a bunch of CPAs, and I think they should really have gone back to their education about that. Yes, we want to have real-time stuff, but once a month is plenty, but you do need to make sure that your books are reconciled at least monthly. You do want to make sure that you're keeping daily records, and honestly, avoid cash. The reason I say that is it's very easy to get in trouble with cash. There's no record of it. There's no way of going back and saying, well, here's my credit card payment. I know that there's businesses that almost entirely run on cash. Restaurants, a lot of them take in a lot of cash. A lot of grocery stores take in a lot of cash, but everybody is really going to credit cards and debit cards. And as a business owner, I would say don't use cash for your expenditures. Use a credit card, use a debit card, or write a check. And the reason for that is that's a record. If you're using cash for things, if you're just pulling cash out of your pocket, we don't even know where the money came from. Creates a lot of problems. So that's it. That is your 10 helpful hints. Go paperless. Please go paperless. Get a good advisor. That would be me. Keep your personal and business finances separate. Plan ahead for major expenses. Set aside money for taxes. Again, I'm telling you, I've watched businesses go under because of those two things. Keep an eye on your invoices. It's really easy to do. Keep daily records, reconcile your bank accounts, and avoid cash. And you should be golden. If you have any questions, comments, want to complain about me rubbing my nose and tossing my hair, I don't want to hear about that. But other than everything else, other than that, I want to hear about everything else you have to say. Please comment below. I would love to hear from you. And I will talk to you again soon.